There's something strange about human beings. When people are choosing a partner, they often look for the loud signs of love. The exciting man, the charming man, the man who says all the right words. But life has a quiet way of revealing truth. And sometimes the best husband is the one almost nobody notices. This is the story of a woman named Nala, and the man she almost misunderstood. When Nala first met her husband David, she wasn't overwhelmed with fireworks. David was calm, steady, almost too steady. He didn't flood her phone with dramatic messages. He didn't compete her attention in crowded rooms. He wasn't the type of man trying to impress everyone. And in the early days, Nala sometimes wondered if he was too simple. Her friends dated exciting men, men who bought expensive gifts, men who made big promises, men who knew how to charm a room. David didn't do much talking, but he watched carefully. And he showed up. The rain that night was not gentle. It came down the way life sometimes does, sudden, heavy, and inconvenient. Nala sat inside her quiet car at the side of the road, watching the rain blur the streetlights into long, golden streaks. The engine had coughed twice, then died completely. She tried the key again. Nothing. The wipers dragged slowly across the glass like tired arms. Outside, cars rushed past, splashing water onto the pavement. Inside, the silence grew louder. Moments like that have a strange way of revealing what really sits in your heart. Pride fades, independence pauses. Reality taps your shoulder, so she reached for her phone. David. The line rang once, twice. Then, his calm voice answered. The car, the rain, the late hour. Some men would have started with questions. Why were you out this late? Where exactly are you? Why didn't you check the car earlier? But David didn't do any of that. He simply said, send me your location. No drama. Just action. 30 minutes later, headlights appeared through the curtain of rain. His truck pulled up behind her. David stepped out into the storm like it didn't even matter. Rain soaked his shirt within seconds, but he barely noticed. He popped the hood, leaned over the engine, and started working quietly like a man who had done this kind of thing 100 times before. Nala watched from the driver's seat. There was something deeply calming about the way he moved. No complaining, no sighs of frustration, just steady hands solving the problem. 10 minutes later, the engine turned over again, alive. David closed the hood and tapped the roof of the car lightly. That was it. No speech. No I told you so. The next morning, something interesting happened. Nothing. David didn't bring it up. Not over breakfast, not in conversation, not even as a joke. To him, it wasn't a big heroic moment worth replaying. It was simply something a man does when someone he loves needs help. And right there was the first quiet sign. The world often trains people to look for loud love, grand gestures, expensive gifts, public displays, but real character rarely makes noise. A good husband reveals himself in the ordinary emergencies of life. Flat tires, broken appliances, hard days, moments when things fall apart. Anyone can show up when life is easy. Sunshine attracts crowds, but rain reveals loyalty. That night, standing under a leaking sky with grease on his hands and rainwater running down his face, David showed something far more valuable than romance: reliability. And reliability is the quiet backbone of a lasting marriage. Because when storms eventually arrive, and they always do, the question isn't who brings flowers. The question is simple: who shows up in the rain? Time passed, the wedding photographs were framed, the congratulatory messages stopped, and the real classroom of marriage quietly opened its doors. Life began doing what life always does. Bills arrived like uninvited guests: the electricity bill, the rent, groceries that somehow finished faster than expected. Work became demanding. Deadlines piled up. Sleep became shorter. Little misunderstandings started appearing too. Nothing dramatic. Just the ordinary friction of two human beings sharing the same space, the same bed, the same future. One evening, the tension finally surfaced. Nala had come home exhausted. The day had been long. Her boss had been difficult. Traffic had been cruel. The kitchen sink was full. Dinner wasn't ready yet. David said something small, something harmless, really. But in that moment, it felt like the last drop in a full bucket. Her voice rose, not screaming, but sharp. Many men in that moment would have reacted quickly. Pride is a loud creature. Some men would have raised their voice higher. Some would have turned the argument into a competition. Some would have walked away in anger. Because for many people, arguments become battles, and battles must have winners. But David didn't move like that. He leaned back in his chair. He listened. Not the fake kind of listening where someone waits for their turn to speak. The real kind. The quiet kind. For a moment, she expected the explosion, the lecture, the defense, the counterattack, the lecture. But instead, David spoke softly. "I don't want to win this fight," he said. "I want us to solve it." The words were simple, no poetry, no dramatic speech, yet something about them stopped the storm. Because those words revealed something rare. He wasn't fighting against her. He was fighting for them. That moment surprised Nala. She looked at him differently. For the first time, she understood something many people learn too late in marriage. Some men want victory. They want to prove they are right. They want the final word. They want the argument scoreboard to show their name on top. But good husbands are built differently. They protect the relationship more than their ego. They understand a strange truth about love. If one person wins the fight, the marriage still loses. Peace, it turns out, is not weakness. Peace is discipline. It takes strength to lower your voice when pride wants to shout. It takes maturity to listen when emotion demands retaliation. It takes wisdom to remember that the person standing in front of you is not your enemy. That night, Nala noticed the second quiet sign. David was not interested in being the winner of the argument. He was interested in being the guardian of the marriage. And guardians behave very differently from competitors. They build, they protect, they repair, they choose peace. Even when peace requires swallowing pride. Years later, when people asked Nala what made her trust her husband so deep, she never mentioned big romantic gestures. She never mentioned expensive gifts. Instead, she remembered small moments like that evening, moments when David quietly chose us over me. And those moments, small, calm, almost invisible, are the bricks that build a lasting marriage. Because the truth about good husbands is simple. You don't recognize them during the wedding. You recognize them during the arguments. There was something else about David. He protected the marriage even when nobody was watching. At work gatherings, he kept respectful boundaries, not because Nala demanded it, because his character demanded it. Temptation doesn't destroy marriages suddenly. It destroys them slowly, through small, careless choices. But David was careful with those choices, and that kind of discipline is invisible until you understand how rare it is. One evening, Nala came home exhausted. Life had drained every ounce of energy from her. Work pressure, family expectations. Just one of those days. She sat down and started talking, complaining, venting, releasing frustration. David didn't interrupt. He didn't rush to give solutions. He simply listened, calm, present, patient, and sometimes being heard is the most healing form of love. Because in a noisy world full of opinions, advice, and judgment, a heart that truly listens is rare. That night, Nala realized something quiet but powerful. Good husband is not always the man with the perfect answers. Sometimes, he is simply the man who makes space for your voice. The man who sits beside you in the chaos of your thoughts and lets your heart breathe again. Years later, Nala met an old friend who was going through a painful divorce. Her friend said something that stayed with her. "I wish I had married a peaceful man." That sentence hit Nala like lightning because suddenly she saw her husband clearly. He was not the loudest lover, but he was steady. Not dramatic, but dependable. Not flashy, but loyal. And she realized something. Many people learn too late. A peaceful partner may not look exciting at first, but peace is the rarest gift a marriage can have. Here's something people rarely talk about. A good husband does not prove himself through grand gestures. He proves himself through daily character, the small choices, the quiet discipline, the steady presence. Real love often whispers, and the wise learn to listen before life teaches them the hard way. The truth is simple. Charm can attract a woman, but character keeps a marriage alive. So when choosing a partner, Don't only watch how a man behaves when life is easy. Watch how he behaves when life becomes heavy. Because storms reveal what sunshine hides. And the quiet man may be the one holding the roof when the rain begins.